Good evening and welcome to Ridgecrest Talk. I'm Al Huey along with my partner Robert Eierman and our special guest again, Supervisor
Al,
Mick
nice to see
Gleason.
you, Robert.
And you just got back from a meeting. Was it the first meeting?
No. We've had several meetings. This was one of us in a series.
Okay, the beginning of our local GSA here.
Yeah.
And we had a multitude of agencies represented there today. If you weren't able to make it, you got to make the next one, which is going to be the 17th of next month, I believe, at 3:30 in the afternoon is when they're going to meet at the Water District. We'll bring that up again later. But what did you think of the meeting?
I thought it was great. I thought it was really good. What was different about this meeting, of course, is the public was there. It was a private meeting open to the public, which is different from a public meeting because when you have public meetings, you're controlled by the Brown Act, which means you have agendas, public presentation, you have a certain definite structure you got to manage. Because we don't have yet formed the GSA, we have no requirement to conform to the Brown Act. But
and you're not really voting or doing anything that's going to affect people.
Not yet. Not yet. We're going to be soon.
This is just getting the GSA group together.
But it's important now that you bring that up because I want to throw a shout out to Peggy Breeden, who called me. Yes, this was going to be a private meeting and no public. Right. Until I had a conversation with Peggy Breeden yesterday. He said, Mick, we need to get some folks in there just to build some confidence in the community. And I agreed, so we started making phone calls and letting everybody know last minute that it's going to be public.
We heard it yesterday,
the confusion in notification was caused by me because it was always scheduled as a private meeting. And then yesterday, I just changed my mind and said, I agree with Peggy, say we need to get the word out to build a level of more confidence and transparency in the effort.
You did that.
It may be a clumsy effort at transparency, but everybody knows that it's transparency in work. We're trying to be that way.
But soon we'll have regular meetings, just like you would at the county supervisors meetings and city council, and you'll have published agendas and all that, and the public will be involved.
Once the GSA is formed, then we are mandated to comply to the Brown Act.
And you're on the fast track to get that done.
I'm hopeful. We got a lot of stuff to go. The law keeps changing now, and recent changes mandate that we just can't file a notice of intent like we had planned. That notice of intent has to include the legal documents and the legal understanding of the relationship between the members of the GSA. Right. So everybody knows what's doing, who's costing what, who's doing what.
And that was kind of brought up by the representative from India today that, they wanted to get a stipulation in there that, well, if we vote, does that mean we have to pay the same as the rest of you?
Right. I got him on that.
They got a very small.
Yeah, right. He said he was worried because his expenses shouldn't be as high as others.
Yeah.
Because he's only got a corner, a little tiny little pocket there, Pearsonville, that touches on our basin.
But that's a little different with San Bernardino.
Yeah,
agency representative, because San Bernardino, we're pumping water over to them for Trona.
Right.
For the plant and all the residents there are getting water from us.
They have one of the oldest water rights in this valley. They have appropriative water rights. They pump out about 2,000 acre-feet a year, and that amount of water has not grown at all in the past, I think, since 1975. I mean, they've been consistently pumping 2,000 acre-feet a year. But it's an issue because it's in Kern County, it's in our basin, it's leaving our water basin. How are we going to manage that, and how is the GSA going to deal with that? What we do know is that the GSA cannot impede anybody's water rights. So the water rights are supreme, and the GSA cannot alter those. Mm-hmm. How that all works is something we're going to have to work on.
Okay. The guy that did most of the talking at the meeting today was Tim Parker.
Yeah.
You're going to have to hook us up with him.
Yeah.
Because we need to get him on as this process.
Isn't he primarily a hydrologist?
Yes. He's a geohydrologist.
Okay.
Working through the county, right?
He's
but
on
eventually
contract.
He's going to be the hydrologist for the GSA?
Right now, the contract he's on with us is to help us start this GSA, get this GSA up and running.
Oh, okay.
And he's from Sacramento. He's got a bunch of alphabet soup after his name. He's got all the connections. When I go up to Sacramento and I want to see the program manager for Sigma, when I want to see the Cal EPA undersecretary. He's the guy who can get me in all these
So
doors.
although by title people refer to him as a hydrologist, he's
Yes.
clearly far, far more than that.
Yes.
Okay.
In my opinion, his contacts are priceless.
And he's
And his understanding of groundwater. He's lived
Yeah.
his life in groundwater. He's a groundwater expert.
not only that, but in setting up the GSA, in my opinion, you also have to be an administrative expert,
Yeah,
an expert in administering
Yeah, I
things.
agree.
So, and clearly, he, according to what you say, he has that talent and ability.
Well, you saw it on Showtime.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I tell you, he
He had a great
does a really good job.
presentation that he put on.
Excellent. Glad
He's
to hear
smart.
that.
He's logical. He's level-headed. He's calm. He's not doesn't respond to emotion. He understands the law clearly, and he's trying to build solutions so that we can get our GSA up and running and move in the direction we want it to go.
Okay, some of the other things I have. How much time we have left? Okay, we got about a minute. We got time to get to this. Some of the representatives there, agencies that will be representative. One that I had a question of is the Navy. Now they're not going to be able to pay the same as like if any fee or tax, which is going to still be a question because of Prop 218. So how are they going to be contributing? Is that going to be the in-kind services?
Could
where
be.
where they're going to
Could be.
provide some kind of.
Let me give you an example, Al. That's a really good question. Right now, they're doing or getting ready to commission or have already allocated the money or are beginning the process of a brackish water study.
Right.
What we're trying to do there is better understand the character of our aquifer, where the brackish water is, where the sweet water is, and then for industrial purposes or for some uses, match our use to the quality of the water.
Yes.
Right.
So if we're pumping sweet water to some place that doesn't need sweet water and they could use brackish water instead, that would help us achieve.
Yes.
It's not going to help us stop the groundwater from decreasing, but it's going to help better manage our existing assets.
Now, is the Navy on board with
Yeah.
participating?
Oh, they're leading that.
Not just here at China Lake, but I mean above China Lake, beyond. They're there to agreement that the.
This is
Navy's
what I
gonna-
know, Al. This is what I know. I've talked with several Navy leaders here in China Lake. I've talked with them in San Diego, and I've talked with them in D.C. And
Okay,
I've
hold
gone.
on. Unfortunately, we got to take
Okay,
that
that's
break
all right,
now.
that's all right.
We'll finish that when we come back right after the break. Stay tuned.
And welcome back to segment 2 of Ridgecrest Talk, Thursday evening edition. I'm Robert Eierman, along with my co-host Al Huey, and tonight our special guest is Supervisor Mick Gleason. Again,
And
thanks
you
for
were talking
joining
about
us.
the Navy and
Oh,
how
yeah.
they're going to be able to participate
Right.
in the fee and expenses.
Right.
Because they can't do it directly like customers would, but
Yeah, I don't understand exactly all that stuff. We're going to have to figure that out to better understand it. But I do know this. The Navy is responsible for about 86% of our economy. They're a big player here.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
They've invested billions, if not trillions of dollars in our economy over the past 70 years. Their interests are vital to the success of this community, and they know it, and they want to play with us.
Yeah. Well goes dry, they're out of business.
Right. So they've got all kinds of investment here. I've talked with Navy leadership. They're keenly aware. You saw the Navy was there today. The department head Johnny O was there. The Navy has made an initial determination that they want to play a role in our GSA, but they're not a voting member. They're going to be an ex officio, which means they can sit on the board. They can help make decisions. We're going to structure that legal relationship between us and the Navy so that they have
Well, that's
a
going
way.
to be difficult.
Yeah, it is. But they're going to have a way to influence the board, but it's not going to be through a vote. I've talked with the people down in San Diego. There's people down in San Diego. The admiral down there, the regional commander, says that the expanding agricultural footprint in the Indian Wells Valley is an encroachment to the Navy mission in China Lake. He's keenly aware of that. I've gone back to D.C. and I've talked to the Assistant Secretary of the Navy, Vice Admiral McGinn, who is now the Assistant Secretary of the Navy, Environment, Installation, and Energy. and or at one of those. And he is aware. He came out here to visit us last
Yes,
year.
I remember.
Yeah, I'm meeting someone for lunch today, Jack Cannell, who's going back, who has a meeting with him next week, and we're going to talk about what we want him to understand.
And I remember him saying that they wanted to be a player.
Right. I'll go back to see him in February. So we're going to have a steady diet of going back and touching him and his agency to get them to understand that we have needs out here. We have to act, and we have to make some significant changes to the way we manage our groundwater. And the Navy, what role does the Navy want to play in that? I mean, there's a lot of opportunity for them to influence water consumption in this valley, and we want them to fully be aware of our needs.
Okay, let's talk a little bit, and I know this is one of those balls that's still up in the air, Prop 218, and how that
Really good
may
question.
affect what the GSA is going to be able to do as far as taxes, fees, costs that are going to be put on customers and users.
So I'm not a lawyer, but I do have one that's the kind of counsel that's outstanding.
Yeah.
And she has elevated this concern to us. It's not upon us immediately, but we see it down the road as possibly being an impediment to our success and our ability to manage this GSA in terms of how we assign fees and taxes and how we manage funding and what authorities we have and the state has to manage fees, taxes, whether you can't tax, can't fee, all that stuff. I don't understand it clearly, but I do know this.
Well, in short, Prop 218 is any government agency can't put a fee or a tax
Or charge.
whatever you want to call it,
or anything else
without
you
it
wanna call
going to a vote of the public.
Right.
Okay, and what the GSA is trying to do is get around that, at least as I understood it today, for the administrative costs, setting up the GSA.
Yeah, I don't. You're right. That's what you heard. That's what I heard. But I don't know that it's going to stop there. I mean, I don't know. There are costs associated with water management that are going to have to be funded, and how we get there, I just don't know yet. But I do know that Kern County has filed an amicus brief with the state court to make them aware of the fact that we are concerned about how Prop 18 is going to influence Sigma throughout the entire state. And they're going to come down with some ruling and let us know whether or not any fees or tax fees that the GSA assigns to the process need to go in front of a vote.
You would have thought that the governor would have already addressed that.
You know, let me tell you something, Al. This law is changing constantly. That's why, this just recently they've changed the quality of our notice of intent, what we have to do to successfully
That's what
file
we're
a
talking
notice of
about.
intent.
Yeah.
It changed in October, and it'll become effective the first of the year, if I understood him right.
Right. So things are changing, and that's okay. We're still ahead of the game, but we need a stable platform from which to operate so we understand and the public can understand exactly what we can and what we can't do.
And another concern that I have relative to taxes, relative to actually litigation, is how do citizens, if it doesn't go to 2.8, be required to vote in accordance with 218, how would the citizens be prevented from crying taxation without representation because they have no influence on those members of the GSA? And the whole idea is we have to be able to throw you out of office. Not you particularly. Throw the particular taxer out of office and put somebody else in there. If you get to a situation where the citizens don't have that control, I see some bright, young, aspiring attorney filing a major lawsuit and stopping the GSA under that basic principle.
Right. I see a lot of challenges, Robert. That's one of many. I think, for example, our water district, the board of directors, to my understanding, has at least temporarily assigned a non-elected person, their executive director, to represent them on this board.
That's true.
So now, and I heard that and I saw that, and that's fine. And I went to my county lawyer and says, can we have members of this board who are not elected? Because essentially, when you look at it, any way you look at this Sigma Sustainable Groundwater Management Act, which the GSA is a part of,
Right.
it's a political process. It is fundamentally politics.
We've got to take another one of those breaks.
Yeah,
But
that's
when we
okay.
come back, we're going to wrap it up here. Join us on the other side of the break for more. Welcome back. Ridgecrest Talk. Al Huey here, along with Robert Eierman and our special guest, Supervisor Mick Gleason. And we were talking about how the fee structure and all that's going to go, and that it's a political process, you were saying.
This is what I'm saying. This is
And that brings the question to me. The Navy, but they're not going to have a vote, right?
Their desire at the present time is to be a member of the GSA, a non-voting member.
But yet
ex
they
officio.
can influence the,
Oh, yeah.
the board.
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
you can see where this is going to go when button up against 218.
Right, it could very well be. But I think one of the things that we can do, one of the things to attract dollars to help us out is to bring success to SGMA. SGMA is Sustainable Groundwater Management Act, signed by the governor because of the drought and the depletion of groundwater resources. It's an extremely unpopular law. Nobody likes it. Everybody hates it. Everybody's attacking it, and the governor is entrenched in this bad deal that he's trying to give out. What I'm saying is that we here in this small water basin can possibly achieve some success to give to the governor. Not that I'm a big fan, because I'm not, but if we can give him a success and demonstrate that his new law can be successful, then he can help us fund this thing so that we can continue to achieve that success. So I would like to build a relationship with this law, saying, okay, it's honest, here it is, we're going to do it, and we're going to build a success so that you can see why SGMA works here and help fund us and attract more money. And the
You could
reason
go
the
opposite
success
direction and make it not work,
Yeah.
and maybe the GSAs would go
It ain't gonna
away.
happen. Ain't gonna happen. I wish you were right. I wish you were right. It's like high-speed rail. Yeah. It's like high-speed rail. I mean, it's
How
the
do we
same
get
kind of-
rid of that?
I don't think we. I think it. I don't know. But I don't want to go there because.
No, I don't.
But I get some thoughts on it. Sometime let's talk about that.
Yeah, right.
But I think one of the shining things we can run up the flagpole that the governor can say, see it works, is a SGMA or a GSA's relationship with a federal entity. If we can build a successful role for the Navy to participate in this GSA, then he can take that example and bring that over to Ventura, bring that down to Salton Sea. Bring
I
that
see what
other
you're saying,
areas.
but this, I see this Prop 218 being a big hurdle.
Could be. You could be absolutely right.
And there's lawyers sitting out there waiting and chomping to get on this.
I think, I think about that, Al. I think that's really good. I think the lawyers are sitting, watching, chomping about how we're going to assign votes. I think fundamentally about board composition and how those board members are going to
I don't even know if it's so much about that. I think it really gets down to the dollars.
Yeah.
When these GSAs, not necessarily ours, but GSAs are going to start, okay, you're going to have this fee and this tax, and boy, that's going up against 218.
One of those things, though, that was interesting today, which is I learned for the first time, is that it just is formalized, is that de minimis users are not subject to metering, or to the GSA has no authority to meter de minimis users.
Or charge them a fee, right?
Yes, and so what that means is that if you're a farmer and you're a mom and dad, and you have 2 kids, and you have 2 horses, and you got
Right.
a half acre of corn, and you got this, you can be, as we go building our budget for this water budget, we can make assumptions, and we can assume rather than meter your water consumption. So the threat of meters on de minimis users not having that available is a wonderful thing for us to sit back and we don't have
And
to
did I
worry
hear
about.
them say today that they couldn't charge them any kind of a fee? Like
I think that's true. I don't know how that's all going to play out. I think you heard that.
It's going to be a problem.
They're all problems. This whole
Yeah.
thing is a problem. I agree with you. I'm not.
It's a
this
can
is
of
not-
worms.
Right.
I sure am glad I'm not
And-
involved directly with it.
So far, all we've talked about is the money to organize and manage the GSA, right? So that administrative function can occur.
Right.
the important money that's going to, I hope, dwarf that is the money to acquire new water. Because unless we acquire new water, we're never going to get out of this problem.
Treat brackish water, all kinds of costs down the road.
I understand, but treating brackish water is easy to say, but expensive to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And importing water is easy to say, but expensive to do.
Right.
And you know, when the pistachio orchards reach maturity, they're going to be using 20% of the water
that?
usage
You
in
believe
this.
that?
Actually,
It's not
no.
pistachio. It's
It's
two farmers. I mean,
Yeah.
pistachio said they
And-
use
and-
20%
and-
of our water.
And actually, according to Stu Fields, our guest from previous, he said that it's more like 30 to 35%.
We're running out of time.
Yeah,
We're going to have
as
to have you
usual.
come back again as this,
Yeah, anytime.
as this develops. But
Yeah.
thanks for coming
Yeah.
by. We appreciate it,
Yeah.
always having you.
Thanks, appreciate it. Robert, thank you very much.
We'll see you shortly.
And welcome back to the final segment of tonight's show. We're going to call it the commentary section, because Mick had to leave. He had another meeting that he was committed to. So Al and I will just comment on things that
We're not
happened
allowed to
on
do
today.
that, but we're going to.
We're going to anyway, yeah. And let us know if you like it. Let us know if you want more of it or less of it, whichever your thoughts are. Let the station know.
I want to remind everybody again, this GSA formation that's starting now is going to meet again next month. Write this down, on the 17th. That's December 17th at 3:30 in the afternoon at the Water District. December 17th, 3:30 in the afternoon at the Water District. So if you're interested, pop on down there. Right now, like he said, the meetings are kind of closed, open.
Yeah.
Meaning that it's not like a regular city council school board meeting where they have a published agenda and you get to comment on every step of the way. They do allow, like at the end of the meeting, public can
Public
make
comment.
some comments and ask a question. So,
But I see this whole thing as, my opinion, a train wreck just before the actual crash. I think that Prop 218 is going to be a significant hurdle. I think that taxation without representation is going to be a significant hurdle. And I don't know that those are hurdles that can be overcome by any GSA. Those are not complaints about this GSA, which is headed down the right path.
and you and I have heard once the water basin goes into litigation, that can be 5, 10, 15, 20 years.
It can be forever. But there are a lot of problems that I just don't see an easy way to solve. How do you pretend that 218, which was designed to protect all property owners from increase in fees, charges, and taxes, as not applying? How do you address a situation where you have no input into who is levying these fees and taxes and charges on you? You know, it's called taxation without representation, and it's a pretty basic principle in this country. So I don't know how they overcome that. And we've run out of time, as usual.
You need to get involved, folks. This is going to be a big issue here. So December 17th, 3:30 at the Water District. Be there. We'll see you next week.